Well, good morning and happy Monday. Hope you had a great weekend. Love the summer, sunshine, long days, all those things that can bring us some natural encouragement and joy. We are working our way through chapter 4 of Paul's letter to the Christians living in this Roman outpost, Philippi, where the first church in Europe was planted by Paul. And we've looked at anxiety and rejoicing. We looked at thinking and application, serving. Last Friday, I introduced the topic of the poor. And I did so because it's sort of a backdrop to Paul's comments about generosity and his situation and other things, and this call to the Christians in Philippi to continue to be generous with the have-nots. And I said yesterday that a friend of mine's comment bothers me. Antonio Barro grew up in a slum outside of Londrina, Brazil. That he said that Jesus' concern for the poor bothered him. And I have thought I am bothered by Antonio's being bothered by Jesus' being bothered about the poor. And so I started by saying, look, there's good news about global poverty. The globalization and sort of global capitalism over the last 10 years have done a lot to lift people out of abject poverty. Those that were making $1 a day are making $2. Those that were making $2 a day are making $4. That's still not much money, but it's significantly different than before. They've doubled their income, and that has made a material difference. But the bad news is that this problem, the poverty, first of all, it's complicated. If it was easy to fix, we would have fixed it by now, because lots of good people have given lots of money and tried hard to fix poverty. But it's complicated. There's lots of reasons that people are poor. I mean, some people are poor because a disaster takes them down. Whether that's a natural disaster, a tsunami, an earthquake, something like that, whether it is a man-made disaster like a war. But they've been knocked back. Some people are poor because they're sick, and they just don't have the kind of safety nets in their cultures that we have in ours. Some people are poor because they were born so far down the economic ladder that they can't reach the bottom rung. I've been in slums in third world countries all over the world, and they're alike in a lot of ways. They all smell the same. But then there's more joy there than you might think, and more kids, lots of kids. But when I look around, I always wonder, if I was born here, could I have worked hard, drive and vigor and pluck and whatever, and pulled myself out of this? I don't think so. I mean, you can somebody has to reach down and give you a hand up to the bottom rung for you to be able to keep climbing. And so there's people that are poor for those reasons. And then, of course, there's people that are poor because they're lazy or they're foolish. And Paul will write about this and say, look, if you don't work, you don't eat. And it's complicated. All of this is complicated. And then, of course, we've got the fact that our economic system is now so big. Wendell Berry writes against this and has for years, and says, look, 100 years ago, if you saw that the cobbler's kids looked a little ratty and maybe didn't have enough money, but you knew the cobbler and he was a good person and working hard, then you just paid more for your shoes the next time you bought them, because you think, look, I need this to work. I need this guy to do well, and I want him to do well. And now we have no idea who's making our shoes. So you can expand some of that. Look, we're not going to fix anything here today. But I want to say the Old Testament, the New Testament, there's a lot about a call to those who say they love God to help the poor. There's a lot in the Bible that would come our way as warnings against wealth and the way it can harden our heart or make us numb to the problems of others. People that are poor tend to give a greater percentage of their income away to the poor because they're closer to it. So I want to suggest that you read Matthew 25 and be bothered by it. I want to suggest that you don't have to do everything to do something, and that you can make a material difference some ways. I want to thank those of you who are. There's a lot of people at Christ Church who are involved in trying to do good, thoughtful work that is providing a path forward. And I'm glad to be a part of all of that. And I want to suggest that we don't need to shield ourselves from this disruption, from this little bit of an angst, the tension that we should feel. I think we should live with economic tension. So, look, as I think about how I want to look back at this time, we get through COVID and all these things, I want to be able to look back and say, I was guided by a commitment to be a loving, gracious, thoughtful, non-fearful person. And I was generous. So there's a call to be thoughtful about all of this. And I want to leave that little disruptive thought with you today. Have a good day.